Hello there, Jill here, and in this video I'm going to be extending some of the information that I sent to you in a PDF format about the questions to ask yourself from the various categories 1 to 4 to help you make the best decision for you if you're thinking of training to become a hypnotherapist. So I know sometimes when I ask people those questions, there's more questions that come and just a little bit of clarification needed. So I'm going to just give you a really quick run through of those questions. So it'd be really good if you can have the PDF in front of you and maybe a little notebook or something to make a few scribbles on as I extend the knowledge that you've already got there on your PDF. Now, the first stage is the foundation questions and research. Now, the first one is motivation. Now, it's highly unlikely that you won't be like supercharged, motivated to be doing this. But the reason why I put this in is because sometimes people are motivated on monetary aspects alone. And although you can make, really good money from this work, if that's all you're interested in, then I would say just to cut loose and find yourself a different career, because there are times in this job where, no, I take that back, it's not just times, it's so important to be heart-centered, it's so important to be, have the client's best interest at heart, it's so important that you just feel as though you want to help people transform. You're in the business, you're creating a business of transformation, and you've got to be interested in what you're doing and not just the outcome, which is the financial stuff. So just really make sure of your interest, your passion, and your motivation. And if you're scaling really low because it's just, it sounds like a good thing to do, really get into, talk to people about the work, talk to hypnotherapists or counsellors, really explore it, because it might be that you just don't know enough about it to light your fire, or it just might be that you're generally not interested, that you don't have that motivation in that area. So motivation and your passion and the reasons for going into this work are really important. So number 3 on that first list, which is stage 1, foundation questions and research. If someone came to see you with deep grief after bereavement, relationship issues, or low confidence, whatever, would you be triggered by any of these things? Now, the reason why I bring this up is because it's okay to be triggered, to know that you will be triggered. Now, that sounds a bit of a weird thing to say, doesn't it? However, one of the things about the mindset of the top hypnotherapists is that they are self-aware. So if I can encourage you to develop this awareness within of who you are, what you are, excuse me, how you respond to things, then it's unlikely that anything a little bit later on is going to trip you up. We all get triggered. We all have moments where a client brings something unexpected, and it might just give us that nervous tummy, or think, oh God, we empathize with somebody, and stuff like that. So just developing that self-awareness. So for instance, if somebody came with a particular sort of trauma, and for instance a car accident, and you'd had a car accident where horrible things had happened and it was a trauma with you, that at least that pattern is still residing with you, and that is a potential for you to get steered off course when you're actually with a client. So the great thing is about this is that this self-awareness will help you just work on it. You might need to see somebody yourself or get a little bit of help with it, with moving it on. So don't worry if you think you might be triggered, because that's a sign that you just need to maybe do a little bit of work. Not necessarily before you do the course, but it's as you go along that you're just aware that there are 1 or 2 things that you might need to work on before you go out into practice. What sort of people do you want to treat? Some people will know that, some people won't. It doesn't matter if you don't at this stage. I always recommend that you talk to practicing hypnotherapists and get their views. Now, get a variety of views. Don't take one person's view of their job. They might have been doing it for years, lost a bit of interest, gone into it for the wrong sort of reasons. They might have been practicing for a couple of years and not been aware of marketing skills or getting themselves out there, or haven't got the confidence to get themselves out there. So just be aware that you'll get a biased view from everybody, including me. So just make sure that you get different windows of reflection of how that job's going to be, and then you can really let your mind think about what parts of that you're going to enjoy, what's going to be really the best for you in that future career. Also, how you learn best. There are a lot of online courses. There are a lot of courses which are very short. My personal belief is that hypnotherapy, counselling, psychotherapy, and really helping to learn skills that transform people takes time. You know, we need to let those skills embed at many different levels, from watching, from absorbing what people are saying, from watching people doing who are qualified, doing client sessions, from learning all the techniques of the counselling modules, learning what makes, how to manage, how to do the hypnotherapy, hopefully without scripts, but the techniques and all these things. It just takes a while to become this library of information that's kind of in the muscle. So just be aware of how you learn best, and make sure that when you come to do the research later at the schools, that what they do fits you. We teach a tell, show, do, review model, and that sort of covers all learning styles. But make sure whatever you go to covers your learning styles. So number 8, put all this information together and make notes of how good or not it feels when you imagine yourself in that line of work. Now, I think just daydreaming about doing this job is one of the best things that you can do once you start to gather your information, because your body and inner being will start to say, oh, that feels great, and you'll feel drawn towards it, or it'll be oh, that's not for me, or a bit of a mix and you're unsure. So that unsureness, I know it's not a proper word, but that feeling of being unsure, if you then just take and register those feelings, then you can explore them or talk them through with somebody. And it might be there's just a little bit of a lack of confidence on your part, or it might be there's a concern about a particular area. And once that can be clarified, then your motivation and your clarity on that way forward again will be that much clearer. So daydreaming and just really imagining yourself from breakfast through to supper, and how your day is going to pan out and what it feels like to be in that job. Remember that your imagination is just such a rich thing, and just when you're imagining it, it's like you're actually doing it now. So it gives your body a really good sense of how it will be if you take that step. Okay, so number 2, stage 2. Design questions and research. Now, a lot of this, I've got a few things to add to this, but the main thing here is not so much the questions you ask yourself, but this is a time of real research. So once you've completed stage 1 and it feels, it doesn't have to be a mighty yes, but as long as this feels good, I feel really drawn to this, then you can start your research. And I would just taking into account all the things that you did in stage 1, research different schools and different types of training schools, and get a feeling if they meet the requirements that you've come up with that's right for you. One piece of advice is to take your time. Whenever we speak to, or I speak to people who are thinking of doing a hypnotherapy course, I give them we're sometimes on the phone for a good 3/4 of an hour. And that enables me to go through a lot of these questions that you're doing outside of that. But it gives me a feel to really ask them the right questions and get a feel if they're right for us, and answer, give them a really full picture of not just what the course is, but how it pans out and what that client, that student journey will be like, and also exactly what you'll be able to do at the end. You want to make sure, I think, that mentoring and supervision is in there as well. Mentoring and supervision is a really strong part of making sure that you reflect on your work, and you have somebody, not just a tutor up in front of you just reeling off the different techniques and the knowledge of the counselling and psychotherapy, all that sort of thing, but you've got somebody who can sort of walk a little bit more alongside you and say, look, you've done really well there, or even sometimes, is there any assessments there? Are people giving you feedback? Feedback is so important in terms of your growth as a hypnotherapist. So mentoring, supervision, what sort of support you get, what kind of feedback do you get, do people watch you working, all things which, in terms of those practical experiences, you can come through a course and, we're people that have got lots of senses and different ways of learning it. If we've only watched loads of stuff and we haven't actually done it and been assessed, I think that's personally I think that's a bit of a danger area. You've got to be able to have had people who know their stuff watch you, observe you, and feedback on what you're doing, practicing with your classmates, and again being observed, watching the experts do it, so you get a full complement of observation, practice, reflective learning, and mentors and supervisors just giving you information back with sort of learning points for development. So yeah, it's a really big, an important part, because we often get a lot of people come to us who've done other courses and they don't get that they haven't got the confidence because they've not done it. It's not that their skills necessarily aren't there. Yeah, I could talk more about that, but I'm not going to just right now. But it's more to do with practice. You can have it in your head, but until you've done it, it's kind of like not in the muscle. Anyway, I'll stop going on about that one. So yeah, the science and the methodology behind the training is important. Associations, insurance, very important, just to not have a one-trick pony, but have a full counselling module which sort of supports the hypnotherapy. We don't do script-based hypnotherapy, we do conversational hypnosis, which means that you can work with anybody. So if you've got 10 people and one script, say for performance anxiety, it ain't going to capture all 10 people's attention, because hypnosis is a lot about, taking someone into the hypnotic state is a lot about capturing their attention. And you can have lots and lots of techniques, but unless you've got the fluidity and the flexibility to work with people in different ways according to their life's experience, then it just makes it harder, really. So yeah, so just getting that is important. Yeah, the coming away from the sort of conversational hypnosis, a lot of places just do a technique, or work with scripts, and I just know that doesn't give that inner confidence for people when they're out there in the field. So do some questions around that. Yeah, ethics and values of the company, and ask to talk to their students, their past students, because again, that gives a reflection of the journey that you're on. It's not just that you want that certificate at the outcome. Part of this has got to be about a journey which is enjoyable and brings personal growth and transformation for yourself. It's like the stuff you learn, if you're going to help other people do it, you're going to be experiencing some of this for yourself as well. So finding about the actual journey and not just the outcome is another important aspect. What you'll be able to do when what you'll be able to treat when you come out, what skills base will you have, and any anybody who says you should be able to treat everything is going to be wrong, because nobody can treat everything. You know, there are things which will always be outside of our limits, even mine. You know, sometimes with people with, you know, like really, really very poorly, maybe got lots of mental illnesses and addictions and stuff like that. Yeah, I've worked with loads of people like that. However, occasionally I have referred them on as well to the mental health care teams in the area. So always important to know what you can and what you can. Equally as important what you can't teach. An integrated approach. Is an integrated approach right for you? We teach the science-based stuff. We teach practical knowledge and skills, but we also come from a very holistic space as well. So we do teach about diet and food and how that affects our mood and how it can affect so many different aspects of our health. So we do we bring in some energy medicine work. Not that that's absolutely essential for any course, but you know, it might be that that's something you actually really want. So make sure whether the course curriculum and the contents are really right for you, and whether you believe that holistic integrated approach is right for you. You need to be asking some questions on that. Yeah, I think that is about it on stage 2. So just a couple of additional things for stage 3. When you've decided, when you pull all the stuff together and you decide on the school, start to ask yourself what you need to do for, you know, preparation on that journey ahead. Now, we looked at some of the mindset stuff. There is a mindset video with the freebies that you've got, so check that out, because it might be there's 1 or 2 things that you can already start to work on with that. And I would also look at how you care for yourself during the course. You know, sometimes if you've got a full-time job and you're changing career, or you're a mom working part-time, or you're just a full-time mom, you know, sometimes life, when you're taking on board a lot of new information, you're away for a few weeks or a week, couple of weekends, a month, or anything like that, it can put additional strain on your time. So very often the first thing that goes is looking after ourselves, and so it's incredibly important to ask yourself, what program of self-care can I put in here for me, so that I can maximise my time on the course and come out the other end, you know, just happy, healthy and whole. It's not about getting that certificate that you can pin on the wall and be a complete heap and broken and worn out and stuff like that. So self-care program is very, very important, self-care and mindset stuff. I also think that what can you do by getting ahead? So I always would ask a school, and we tell our students what they can be doing if they book in a long time before the actual course starts. Yeah, I think that's the main things with that, with stage 3. And stage 4, we're not going to be doing that much more here on that stage 4, because that's something for way ahead. Obviously, you could be the best hypnotherapist in the world, but if you've got no understanding of marketing or got the confidence to get yourself out there and really, you know, push yourself or build your business. So it might already be worth you looking at, you know, things like in your local area. Is there any sort of free local council courses or government courses or wherever, just on marketing, social media, and indeed building a business, the practicalities of building a business, like tax, accounting, and all those practical things as well. So I hope that has helped you add a little bit more depth to the PDF and the questions and research suggested on that, and that it really helps to consolidate your pathway forward.